I'm going to show you how to make some graphics using Canva. Canva does have a free level that you can just sign up and get a Canva account. I do have the pro version, so you'll see some stuff that you wouldn't be able to see on the free version. They would have a little crown in the corner, meaning it's only for the pro version. But there's a lot you can do for free. You do not need the pro account. What we're going to do first is we're going to create a thumbnail, like a YouTube thumbnail size graphic that you could use on a video. And then we're going to turn that into a square. So first, you want to find the YouTube. It'll always be up in this popular area, or you can always search here for YouTube thumbnail. I'm going to choose YouTube thumbnail, and it's instantly going to give me some choices of templates. I'm gonna make a graphic that will go with an article I'm doing on recycling. So let me see, recycling. You can first try to see if you can find a template that might work. Let's go to photos. Always under elements, you'll find all these different things that you can add. It's just good to start with a template. It gives you a starting point. I'm gonna look up recycling. Oh, I like that. So I'm gonna go with that instead. And I'm going to change my title to my actual title, which is maybe I'll make easy ways to make a difference. But I'm going to shrink that size of the font because I want that kind of small underneath, like a tagline. Perfect. I am going to upload a couple of photos that are from my blog post. I have two. I might be able to find better ones. Oh, I can bring in shapes. Like if I wanted to add a shape, and just add a shape. I can change the color. It's going to, this is my brand color palette. There's just default colors, but it also will be a section here. And all the photos you're using, it'll actually pull colors from there, which will help you make a nice graphic that everything kind of the colors go together. Like I can make. There's a section called frames, which is really great. And there's all different shapes. Each one of these things are things you could pull a photo in. So like if you had a book, you could pull a cover. It would make it look like a book. I am looking for a circle with a frame because I want a colored frame. Now this would have a really thin frame around it, or this is going to have a bigger frame with some space around it. And I'll use the smaller. You can see it has a colored outline. I'm going to change it to something that matches. I like the green. And I'm going to upload the photos I uploaded. I can just stick right in there. And then I only have 2 photos, but I like to have 3 objects, so this circle is going to fill in for my third. Aesthetically, you should always have an odd number of things. So like if you're going to add like little pictures like this, you want to have 3 or 5. An odd number just looks nicer. I'm just going to duplicate this so I don't have to go find that again. And I'm going to put my other image in there. With text, I could change the font. It's going to give me a ton of choices. I can test out and see if I like that font better. If I didn't like that and I can't remember what I had before, there's always the undo button. If your lines are too close, like they're overlapping, because sometimes when you make a font bigger, it starts to overlap over itself. I'm going to make this bigger. I can make the font bigger by doing that or by changing it there. Sometimes as it goes bigger, some of them will start overlapping. You need to add some space. This right here is spacing. It controls how much space is between each line if you want to spread it out or if you want to tighten them up. And this also, sometimes some fonts, the letters start going right next to each other and you want to add a little bit of space. This will control the space. So you can adjust those. This background photo at least has a little bit, it's not solid white. I would have a problem if it was solid white because it would be hard to read the text. Sometimes you might want to add an overlay color. and just kind of color over faintly. I'll show you how to do that in case you want to do that. You go back to elements, get out of frames. I'm going to go to shapes. I'm just going to add a square. And I'm going to move the square to be covering up all of this. Then I'm going to click on it and send it to the back. Send to back. Send backwards. We'll just send it back behind one layer. I want to go all the way back. And now it should be just over my photo. And what I want to do is go to transparency. I'm going to lighten it a little bit. So you can see I've added a little bit of a color over top of that. Probably orange isn't the best overlay color. Black would just kind of darken the photo. You can add a little bit of color if you want to. I always like to use blue on mine. Overlay. That's pretty cool. I kind of like that. That just helps the white text pop out a little bit more. Like your background photo sometimes isn't the most important thing. It is cool because it has the phone with a recycling symbol, but maybe that's good. So if I want to make my own box, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go back to shapes. I'm going to pick this. I'm just going to size it to what I want. I want it to be exactly the length of that. I don't want the same color because that just kind of doesn't stand out. I like that. Then I'll get a text. I'm going to add this smaller tag. I'm going to make this kind of fill it in. And then I'm going to make it white text. Make sure it's centered in the box. One thing you want to consider is you want to try to use as few words as possible in your big text and make it as big as possible. Especially when you think about for your experiences inside Convene, it's a pretty small square and you want them to be able to look at the graphic and know what the article is about. And so few words and make the text really big. And then we're going to make the square. Now, if you have the Pro version, you can just resize it to 1200 by 1200. It'll open up a new tab and try to put the elements in. But I'm going to do this as if you don't have the Pro version. We'll do the free. So we're just going to open up in Home. And we're going to look for an Instagram post because Instagram posts are square. You can, if you don't see it in your quick thing at the top, just search for Instagram post. It's going to be a square. And then I'm going to go back to my other, and I'm just going to copy. I'm just going to highlight it all and do Control-C to copy and Control-V, like Victor, to paste. It never picks up the background photo. You just have to go back here again, copy, paste. That's the overlay. I'm going to have to move this so I can grab the photo and copy and paste. I'm just going to resize everything. I already have all the elements there. This needs to go in the back. I don't want this to be the focus. I'm actually going to center it. And I'm going to make it, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to make this as big as I can because I really want it to like stand out. This is the name of it. When you go to a square, you tend to have to resize the images to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to take it out. But I like having 3 images, so I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to add a 3rd image for this, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. And I'm gonna find another photo. So I'm going to photos, back to recycling. And some, this might be good. There you go. You'll notice, see the red line comes across right here at the top when I move it right here. That's telling me that this object is lined up with that object at the top. So like, say I've been resizing and I decided I want them exactly same size again. I'm gonna make this one a little bit smaller, and then I wanna make this one match. I wanna make sure it's matched at the top. Then I'm gonna go like this. And when I see the red line, I know I have made that match up with that. So they're the same size. Okay, let me click this. When it's a gradient like this is, if I click on here, I can double click it and you can actually change the type of gradient it is. So you could click around, circular gradient. So you can just play around with all the different things. Most of the stuff you're gonna use, you'll find in elements. And if you've selected an element, you may have to back out of that. But shapes, like I said, you can just pull in if you want just a circle. Graphics, you can just search any kind of thing. Just open up graphics and search for like the kind of image you're looking for. Frames. Frames are the other one where you can pop the photo in. Another thing that I do want to show you is, especially if you're going to do a graphic, maybe to show off your community or group, and you want to show a couple of thumbnails from experiences that are inside of it. I'm going to go to elements, and I'm going to go, and just like how the frames work, where you can pull in a photo, grids give you some different layouts that you can fill with photos, which is great when you want to do like maybe this that has 4 squares. Maybe I want to show off 4 experiences from my community. It's going to fill automatically, but I can size this. Like I want more of a square look because I want to talk about my community over here and I want to pull in some graphics here. So I'll go back to my uploads and I have some of my experiences from my group. I'm going to pop in here. You just upload your graphics, put them in there. Actually, I'm going to put this one. Now I can have this go all the way to the edge, or I could leave a little space. I'm going to leave a little space, so I'm going to size it. I'm going to make home bigger though, because I want home to be as wide as the other two. I want it really standing out. And then this is an example of seeing how the text is so far away. I want to tighten that up. So spacing, line spacing to pull them closer. So I just adjust it so they are all the same. From here, I can size it. I'm just going to treat it all equal. Everything home is going to show me colors based on all the pictures I've pulled in. A graphic of a house. I'm going to size it. I want a background because the white is kind of boring. I don't like that. So I'm going to go back and find an element, shape, square. I'm going to make an overlay. Send it back. I'm going to make it transparent. No, because I'm not going to have a photo behind it. Well, although I think I'm going to make it transparent because of the color. And then I want this to be a color. And if I don't want it super bright, almost everything you can control transparency. And sometimes I like to fade out. So it's like just a subtle image. But that gives you an idea how you can use different types of elements and pull it all together. But the grid is really cool if you want to feature a bunch of things. The grid and the frames are two of my favorite elements.